What is something we all know but can't prove? Story 1, memory implants. Imagine a memory implantation technology enabling memories to be constructed, obscured, or erased. At some future point, it might seem like memory implantation technology is just around the corner. With memory implantation technology, you could make somebody feel as though they are living at a time when memory implantation technology is just around the corner. Story 2, America's regulations on food are killing us. No matter how often this is talked about, nothing will be done because profit over humanity. Story 3, the governments around the world are aware of what each other is doing to citizens. There is no care for people, and we are here just to allow the elite to remain safe and rich. We are lost and will never be free of oppression because we love the illusion of free will in a free society. It isn't. We are controlled, and we allow it. Even if you think you are fighting against the status quo, you are not. Story 4, pharmaceutical companies run doctors and medical care. They want people sick and addicted for profit. Doctors are complicit in allowing people to suffer in only treating the symptoms and not the illness. Good doctors are made to look like shams. Story 5. It amazes me that we can know the minutiae of how processes work, but not the overarching force that controls the underlying processes. Like we know how to use anesthesia, but not how it actually works, not what consciousness really is. We can shoot a probe to orbit another planet, but we do not know how gravity works or really what it is. Story 6. There is a God isn't a God. Most everyone knows they are right, but none of us can prove anything. Asterisk. This is not a post to start an argument whether there is a God or not, just that, like the OP says, a subject that everybody has an opinion on but nobody can prove. Story 7. One concept that we all intuitively grasp but struggle to prove is the idea of gut feelings or intuition. This instinctive sense where we just know something without conscious reasoning is a common experience. For example, we might have a strong feeling about a decision, a person, or a situation that later proves to be correct, despite lacking concrete evidence at the time. While intuition is widely acknowledged and often relied upon in daily life, proving its accuracy or underlying mechanisms is challenging. Scientific research into intuition suggests it may stem from accumulated experiences and subconscious pattern recognition. However, quantifying these processes remains difficult because intuition operates outside of deliberate thought and empirical analysis. The challenge lies in the subjective nature of intuition. It is deeply personal and varies from one individual to another. Consequently, while we all experience gut feelings and recognize their influence, the exact science behind them remains elusive, making intuition one of those intriguing phenomena that we understand yet cannot fully prove. Story 8. The future is unknown. We all know that we cannot predict the future with accuracy, and this is something we live with every day, but it is impossible to prove this conclusively scientifically because it depends on the random nature of events. Story 9. Evolution and deep time. Flawed ideas with fatal issues. But people, specifically elite academia and the big funders of research, are loath to admit or even allow a conversation about anything else because they want to save face, which is ridiculous because sooner or later the evidence will be solid enough that they can't ignore it. Actually, really already is. And they don't want to have to face the idea that other, older ideas might actually be right as opposed to them being right. Story 10. The Big Bang is BS. We all know it, but we don't have a better answer, so people just accept it, but in our hearts we know it's not true. I think I know the real answer, but the truth is we will never know the actual true answer. Also, Carol Baskin knows where her husband is buried. Story 11. He's left. That marrying for love is probably 1/10 of the reason PPL marry, but rather needing to be able to split finances, have someone help with childcare, and generally not be ostracized from social society because you're not married is why PPL say, fuck it, let's get married. They want the funds that come with the wedding for the house, but not to be a husband. They want the party and the dress, but not to be a wife. They want a picture of the baby on the hip and the video of first words, but not to spend hours upon hours, day and night, caring for the screaming, sick, generally insufferable child. And then they become the parents that say, I can't wait till you're 18 so you can leave, so I can stop having to care for you financially, who then turn into older PPL who are wondering why there are no grandkids yet. But the whole point of that is so that they are keeping up with social milestones of others, and also so that they can watch someone else suffer and feel affirmed that their kids are now being appropriately punished for the drama they put them through. It's kind of a horror show. Story 12. The USA is a terrorist nation. They go above and beyond to manipulate and or destroy those who don't align with them. The European Union is complicit and as bad, yet they have the power to present themselves as democratic nations when in reality they're the most savage psychos of the world. Story 13, the existence of outer space. You will never set foot in the empty void of space ever in your lifetime, peasant. Hope your faith is well placed. Story 14. I think we all can connect on a psychic level, but we can't prove it. I've had weird things happen with close friends and family that happen too often to be a coincidence. But as soon as you set up a test, it's inconclusive. I've had a friend I haven't spoken with for years, and one day I was thinking about them specifically, and a fun trip we went on, and sure as shoot, he texted me while I was in mid-thought kind of thing, just to say hi. Weird. Story 15. That most human suffering experienced is to serve the corporations and money men up the top. Our division, our need, our hunger, all while a teeny tiny few talk of their record profits. That regardless of who we are or where, our struggles of the past have been bested by community effort, and now the money and the reach of those few is global. Our community effort needs to match in order to survive. We're a collective, a single entity. We need to come together and figure out what's worth keeping and what's worth leaving behind. Nobody should get a second plate before everyone has filled their first. Story 16, pets know when their owners are coming home. Answer, I always knew this about dogs because they're so smart and empathetic. My girlfriend and I have a cat that is not bright. My girlfriend comes home at widely varying hours, works and goes to school. No matter how many people open the front door of our apartment building, that little rascal knows when it's my girlfriend, stops whatever hijinks she's involved in, and goes and waits by the door. Story 17, there are colors we can't see. Answer, colors aren't really a thing outside of our own heads. They're just how our eyes interpret different wavelengths of light. Answer, we can prove that. Visible light is just a slice of electromagnetic radiation, which extends both directions. The wavelength determines the color, so if the last wavelength of red we can see is 750 nanometers, 751 nanometers is a red color we cannot see. Story 18. Not exactly what you asked, but my favorite thing we ever did was, we were on a train once coming home from a football game, and it was standing room only, so this guy in a seat looked at us for like a full minute, then said, "Are you guys twins or just brothers?" And we looked at each other and I said, "No, we are not relations, sir," in my best Forrest Gump accent. The dude was so confused. Story 19. Probably that there's a lot of really powerful and wealthy people doing some really terrible things, but they are protected. The only time it seems to be an exception is if they screw over other really wealthy or powerful people. Story 20. Bitcoin is evolving, and we are either extremely hopeful about it, in-depth understanding of Bitcoin, or not, on the basis of not understanding it. But no one can confirm who's right. Story 21. After working in retail and restaurants and dealing with the general public, I've come to suspect that many people are aliens in disguise, just visiting Earth a la MIB. I had 2 separate people today tell me they didn't understand my direction to pull forward in the drive-thru. One lady didn't get after I told her twice. She literally said, "I don't know what you're asking me to do." It truly baffled me. I was like, pull up to the window so I can hand you your food? And it was a grown adult, not a teenager. Had to be an alien unfamiliar with the concept of a drive-thru. Story 22. We all know our own internal thoughts, but can't screen share, LOL, our mind to others. So we can't prove or show exactly how and what we're thinking. And there's bound to be varying degrees of imperfection degradation that occurs when translating it to a form of tangible information that's shareable, communicable with others. So we can't ever relay to others exactly our thoughts in the way we thought them, LOL. Also, different mental performance variation makes it difficult to perceive thoughts with the native degree of complexity of another person's thoughts. Like someone imagining an apple with hyperphantasia, trying to communicate their mental image of an apple to someone with aphantasia would certainly result in incompatible mental image transfer/exchange. That made no sense, I wrote it, so I'm going to commit to sending it, though. Story 23. We will never know for sure where the coronavirus came from, but a laboratory which has the virus in the same place where was the first breakout is way too coincidental. Answer. It really doesn't make a lot of sense timing and risk reward-wise for them to have done it at the times it would have been done. If this company were going to take that massive risk, it would have been at a far more opportune time, and we wouldn't have heard about any of this to begin with. Letting it get to the level it did with the repercussions it did, then murdering someone? Makes little sense realistically. If murder was on the table, it would have been committed far earlier in the process, not at a time when the damage was already done, and suspicion would point back at them 10 times harder. It just doesn't hold water if you really dig into it. They'd gain nothing. Story 24. Sports with extreme fanaticism are unhealthy. Answer, I don't disagree, but I also believe that if taken away, the fanaticism would just be projected on everything else. As oppressive and corrupt institutional religions were, they had their place in mankind's evolution. Where I am, religion is getting more and more meaningless, which I welcome. At the same time, I feel like every other subject has received a religious aspect. We are living in a time where you can believe everything and actually knowing something has become incredibly hard. Story 25. Time travel exists, and someone or some people already did the jump and are controlling the world in the shadows. Maybe COVID was a traveler inside job to change the outcome of some devastation that has befallen humanity. Story 26. Your perception of yourself and others. It's a unique thing to you and impossible to convey to others in a way that is accurate to your perception. We just have to accept everyone has their own unique opinions on others and ourselves, and that no one is truly correct. It's like describing colors. It gives the illusion that it works when both parties have experienced the same thing. But those experiences themselves aren't directly describable or transferable, and there isn't much that can show those experiences were actually the same to begin with. Story 27. That everything is perceived slightly different by everyone. No one sees blue the same way. No one truly reads something the same way. Every little thing you do is solely unique and can never be replicated by another person because it's you who is doing it, and there will little variations no matter how hard the other person tries. Story 28. Videos have been erased off the internet and they are tricking us into thinking the videos never existed, and it's some mass delusion. Such as the video of Trump saying if he were to run for office, he'd run as Republican because they're dumb enough to vote for him. I've seen it, people I know have seen it. We can all describe the video details. Obviously, this is only one example. There's others I can't think of at the moment. Story 29. Though this is likely more akin to a conspiracy theory, pretty sure the only reason Tom Cruise is still shilling for Scientology is that they have some serious shit on him. And no, it's not that he's secretly gay like folks like to joke. If anything, he knows what happened to Shelley, likely because he was involved in some way, possibly under orders from David. For those not in the know, I'm referring to David and Shelley Miscavige, the leader of the Church of Scientology, and his wife. There's been neither sight nor sound of Shelley in 17 years. If anyone knows what happened to her, it's David and maybe Tom, and neither of them have said much more than she's fine. Answer: I have been following the Scientology movement for years and participate in online recovery groups for ex-Scientologists. Most Scientologists I have reached out to feel Shelley is very much alive and held captive. It's possible that welfare checks have been done, and she is either under high pressure to report that she's fine, or her captures made her aware of the damage that will be done to her and her loved ones if she attempted to escape. The idea she is dead has been discussed, but I am under the impression that she is far too valuable to Scientology alive, and killing her would do more harm than good for them. This situation fucks me up at night. Shelley is far from the only person kept there against her will. This isn't some human trafficking organization hidden in a third world country away from others. This shit is happening out in the open right here in the States, with real victims screaming that horrible abuses are happening right now to loved ones. All the while, you got rich celebrities going on about how nice this religion is, and no one associated with the government wants to step in because Scientology pays everyone off. It's fucking crazy. Answer: Tom Cruise is just a diehard believer. Scientology tells him he's better than the vast majority of humanity, and he is happy to believe it. They audition women to date him. They break up with women on his behalf when he doesn't want to. They supply him with a never-ending stream of lackeys he can yell at. He's just got a huge ego that Scientology knows how to serve.